Hi folks, it's Coach Kelvin here from the We Run Virtual Run Club and We Run Coach for Leeds and surrounding areas as well as online coaching. In this little video, it was actually off the back of a comment by Ian, who was just looking to sort of get some ideas on training block structure and just kind of the things that I do myself and the things that I do with my runners. And when I say training block structure, this is how we vary the training load throughout a sort of 3 to 6 week cycle. So it's not just volume. And if you take me as an example, the last 5 weeks, my volume's actually been quite similar, but the load within each week has been slightly different because I've been changing my intensity split, so doing specific workouts. And a classic training block structure is to work on 3 build weeks and then a download week. So a download week is a week that's exceptionally easy. So we have a build week 1 that feels a bit too easy, a build week 2 that feels somewhere near where your fitness level is at the moment, and a build week 3 that starts to feel a little bit tough, depending on how much risk you want to take in your training and what you're trying to achieve. And then we have like a super easy week to make sure that we're absorbing that training. And the body responds much better to that than it does just keeping each week fairly similar, which we'll go into quite soon. So the other interesting thing is, so that's building, accumulating training load and fatigue throughout the block and then taking like a super easy week to absorb that. And then for runners training, particularly for longer distance events, so I'm going to say kind of maybe half marathons, but more specifically marathons and ultra marathons, there becomes a point where we can switch that around and we actually go 3-2-1 download. So the first week of the training block is actually the toughest week. And we'd probably switch that around somewhere around 12 weeks out from the taper. And the reason for that is we don't always want to be doing the toughest week or specifically the toughest longer run on fatigue legs. So we have a deload week, which is super easy. And then we go into the sort of toughest week of the block there. And it's almost a practice taper. If that makes some sort of sense. So the download, we can do that kind of like making sure that we dial in our hydration, sleep, nutrition, and all of those things. So it's a little bit more like the preparation that we're going to do in the taper for the race itself. And then we can do that toughest workout on the weekend of the first week of the block to make sure that we do it on fresher legs. And there's a number of reasons for that we're not going to go into at the moment. The other thing to bear in mind is blocks can be different sizes. We might go 2 builds and a deload in a VO2 block that's higher intensity. Maybe in the specific phase for an ultra, we might even do 4 or 5 weeks before a deload, as the volume might be quite high, but the intensity is going to be relatively low. The other thing that I will mention as well with download weeks is make sure that we have got something to download from, that we have sort of overstressed the body a little bit, and then we've got something to recover from that's going to manifest itself as a fitness increase further down the line. And that's kind of what we need to do to increase fitness. And, this is something that's quite interesting, that if a runner does the same thing every week, so let's say, for instance, they do 2 5k runs in the week and a 12k run at the weekend, and they always do the same thing and they always run at the same intensity. In the initial stages of doing that, when the runner's quite new to running, it's a new stimulus, so the runner will increase fitness. But then eventually the body just gets used to that, so fitness will actually start to plateau. And in the longer term, fitness will actually start to decrease as the body just gets very efficient at doing that sort of same thing. And that's why we we sort of want to almost surprise the body sometimes, where, you know, 1 week's a bit like, oh, right, cool, this is really easy, let's really make sure we recover. And then the next thing, you're sort of throwing a week at the body where it's like, oh my goodness, you know, if we keep doing that, we're going to have to build up stronger. So it starts to build up even stronger. So to a certain degree, on a similar volume in a training block, by adding that variety in there, we can create a better training stimulus and give the body a better reason to adapt and get fitter. So if you have any questions on training block structure, please pop them in the comments below. And for now, happy running.